From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Well, hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen, and proudly welcoming you into this Monday's edition of For the People on October the 23rd, 2017. We got a big show lined up for you, so I hope you'll grab your For the People mug. If you don't have one, you say, For the People mug? I want one of those. Well, I'd like to make it available to you right now if you'd actually like one of that. I have them on the website, right on the front page at forthepeopleshow.com. You just click on the cup, and you can order it right there. Bada bing, bada boom. Forget about it. You can do it on your smartphone device. You can do it on your tablet. You can do it on your desktop version. It's easy, and it's secure. MasterCard, Visa, Discover, American Express. Yes, get your coffee mug. It's beautiful. It's just a nice gesturing to support what we do each and every day. What do we do every day? Well, we tell you what's going on, for one, with some common sense infused with conservative values. And that's what we like to do. Yeah, imagine that. Where do you find conservative values? You found it. And thanks for most of our listening audience. They have values, too. There's a lot of unclassy people, in case you didn't realize, around our country, unfortunately. Our top story today is the Air Force. And what I have, the Sunday chat shows, watched some of those, but did a lot of reading and some research. And there is definitely some movement going on with our B-52 nuclear bombers. And General Goldfein said that by prepping its fleet of B-52 bombers to remain on a 24-hour alert, Air Force is prepping right now for the reality of the global situation we find ourselves in. That's an exact quote of General Goldfein this weekend. He says it's no longer a bipolar world where it's just us in the Soviet Union. We've got other players out there who have nuclear capability, and it's never been more important to make sure that we get this mission right. Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana, home to the 2nd Bomb Wing and Air Force Global Strike Command, which manages the service's nuclear services, is being renovated. Defense One reported, so the B-52s would be ready to take off at a moment's notice. And by the way, these bad boys, they go supersonic. Yeah, it's pretty amazing what these things can do. B-52s can fly up to, 50,000 feet at subsonic speeds, has the ability to release a variety of weapons, including cluster bombs, gravity bombs, and precision-guided missiles. These things are pretty amazing. We have close to 100 of these. Close to 100. So we're on high alert, folks. There's no doubt about this. There has been some movement. There's been escalation in the north, and there is real concern with the Pentagon that what they've been talking about over there has been talk and rhetoric for the years, saying that they hold technology, which they do, in fact. Pentagon said that they have found out that they do have the ability to release an EMP into our atmosphere that would put us all in the dark. It would destroy our power grid. So, yeah, what people were experiencing there in Puerto Rico, it would be bad, folks. Ted Koppel wrote about it and several other books. Lights Out's a really good book. But it's it's dangerous out there. And for these B-52 bombers to get ready, Americans need to be ready. If the past storm season hasn't shown you that disasters happen, and sometimes not to the degree that we thought, nor did anybody think of the islands that it was going to be that way, nor Houston, nor the officials there in Houston, Texas, where it just overwhelmed them. There's one way to be prepared, and that is to make sure that you have your preparation for EMP attack. Now, electronics, radios, and all that stuff can be in metal trash cans. Have it in a generator. They're not that expensive. Get one. You get a small one that'll just give appliance and stuff like that. You can run them off propane, gasoline. Propane's the best. You can get a converter kit and get it on propane and have somebody professionally wired into your house so you have it going. If you have a few extra bucks, get yourself a generator. Get one that does the whole house. You can do a mixture of solar or the generator. Like to have redundancy, but make sure you got a bare minimal. You have a generator. I think that's really vital. I mean, now you can have a couple cycle batteries with some solar panels, which during the day it'll charge the cycle batteries up with basically what that is you get two cycle batteries wired together, and that'll give you some good amperage to run some things off solar power, but it's not going to run your whole house. So you want to look into solar power. You want to look at protecting some electronics so everything gets cooked, because if you don't have anything protected, then you're not going to have anything. An EMP will be a huge burst to all electronics, even your vehicles. So if you have a late model vehicle that doesn't have one of those computers, most likely going to be able to start the vehicle. We are not ready for such an attack. We're not ready. We're not prepared. One guy who has been sounding the whistle for a long time about EMP and how we could actually protect our power grid, who drew up a huge write-up about how to do it with schematics with an engineer, Norm Miller, was Chuck Harder, and had plans on his website at chuckharder.com for years, and mailed it to members of Congress, Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the Energy Department, et cetera, and it fell on deaf ears. And it's kind of scary to think that we're not ready for such a thing, but it's not just North Korea. Iran would love to do it. ISIS would love to do it. There's a lot of countries, Russia possibly. A lot of countries that just don't like America, folks. And it would just be lights out, literally. Life as you know it wouldn't be happening. A lot of people moving around without electricity, tempers flare. A lot of people would end up dead. I'm not trying to scare you folks, but I'm just thinking, Y2K, this is not Y2K. This is worse than Y2K. Y2K, the power grids, could be put back on. This would destroy the power grids. There's no protection. And I wish that there was a rush to do that. I wish I'd hear out of the president to do it. I'm afraid that this is kind of something that if we don't nip this in the bud quick, and I think this is one of the reasons why that the Air Force is prepping these B-52s. Because the talk is that they believe that they don't have to nuke America, they can EMP America, and they have the technology right now to do it. And that would bring us to our knees, folks. It would bring us to our knees. So whatever prep that you can do in those regards, look into. You can buy used if you can. What I would suggest, if you are on a shoestring budget and you're listening to me on Flyover Country, is to get together, which some of my friends have done up in the Carolinas. Is you get a bug out place, you get a bunker, And if you can't do any of that, you band with some neighbors that somebody in your neighborhood's got one. You all contribute together, all put your money together, and you can help each other. You can run extension cords, you can do that, but you can get one monster, put all your money in a pot, and just get it together. But you should have plans for your community, for your house, for your family. Going together makes a lot of sense if you have friends and you have neighbors nearby, so you don't have people knocking on your door that you don't know. That's why I say, we used to know our neighbors. But if you go in together, you can share what you have. You guys can live together. There's protection. There's all sorts of good things that can happen. You can band together and survive together. You can do these things together and learn from each other. Just an idea here, as far as survivals go. But there'd be a lot of people knocking on some doors, so you definitely want to make sure that you have folks that somebody's got some guns and knows how to use them, because there's going to be a lot of desperate people out there. And folks, I hope to God that it never comes down to it, but whether it is solar flares, which we've been promised that through NASA that it could be, like it happened back in the 1800s where our Western Union lines were all cooked. You can read about it online. Solar flares can do that. The right amount could cook our power grid. But if a rogue nation such as North Korea does this, think about preparation, folks. Some kind of preparation for EMP. Read more about it. Learn more about it. There's increasingly a lot more stories out. And when the Pentagon talks about it, it's a doomsday weapon. And something that the mainstream media never talks about because it's scary. We're not the mainstream media. North Korea has been making a lot of noise about their plans to hit the U.S. with a super powerful EMP, or electromagnetic pulse weapon. And that could knock out the electricity for an indefinite period of time. At a U.S. Homeland Security hearing last week, experts told Congress, this was last week, folks, that North Korea is capable of launching an EMP attack on the United States and warned government officials not to ignore the doomsday scenario. Let me read this again. Very important and worth rereading. At a U.S. Homeland Security hearing last week, experts told Congress that North Korea is capable of launching an EMP attack on the United States and warned government officials not to ignore the scenario. Chairman William Graham, Chief of Staff Dr. Peter Vincent Pry of the Commission to Assess the Threat to the United States from electromagnetic pulse attacks, said that such a weapon could shut down the electric power grid. He didn't say maybe. He said could, for an indefinite period of time, leading to the death within a year of up to 90% of all Americans. I didn't say this, folks. This is commission. Now, there's critics, and some have dismissed the report, claiming that the 90% figure was based on a popular novel titled 1 Second After. Folks, this is real. There's people that are aware that this can happen. The Congressional EMP Commission has been warning for years, that the North Korean government probably has a super EMP weapon. And it's here, folks. It's here. Their first test was in 2006. And officials say it looked very much like a super EMP weapon. A super weapon EMP actually looks different from the big hydrogen bomb that North Korea just tested. It actually has a very small yield. It's a small weapon, but it doesn't need a big explosion. It's designed to put out gamma rays, which it creates the EMP effect. And the mainstream media, like I say, never talks about it. But that's our concern here and for the people, that EMP